I am not a licensed therapist or psychologist, nor am I fit to give proper advice to any topic. Take my words with a grain of salt to form your own reflections. Reading the comments is advised.
Hello. Welcome to the show that is entirely compromised of my opinion about topics that people go through. My hope is to bring content to the dopamine addicts that isn't trash to consume. If I can even influence one person to reflect on themselves or just get off their damn phone, that will be more than enough for me. Now that I have introductions out of the way, it is my wish to answer people's concerns, struggles, thoughts directly through the inbox in my description below. But for today's episode, I will pull one from the subreddit, No Stupid Questions. Do you believe dreams have meaning? Or are they just a way to process your day? If so, why do you randomly dream about childhood friends you haven't seen in over a decade? Do any of you ever wake up and wonder if the dream was significant? Dreams have always been an interesting concept to me. I do think they have some significance, or at least, cooperate with the stress you have. I think it's less about what you're physically going through and more about what you think about throughout the day and whatever your brain's going through. For example, I had a 12-day in a row nightmare about a specific person that I was having trauma over, and it wasn't the same dream either. It was just about the same person, and that was scary. And I'm assuming it had something to do with the fact that every second of every day I thought of that person. It had been months at that point since I seen that person, and I think at least nightmares have some form of realism to whatever stress you're going through. Dreams are a little less tense. They're very active with your emotions. Dreams are kind of like a way to cultivate your memories together, and that can be good or bad. But there is things from over a decade ago that do pop up occasionally. Not as much anymore as I've become an adult. And it's typically about stuff I've went through the past couple days, not even my current day. My dreams have become a lot more real in general. Dreams, nightmares, it's almost like, being an adult for a couple of years now, your dreams and nightmares, there's no defined line in between them. It's like you either have a dream that turns into a nightmare or like a dream that's also just bad, but it's a dream. It's not scary or it's not, heart-wrenching. It doesn't make your heart rate go up, but it's, about things that you really don't necessarily want to see. And, maybe that's just me, but I've had a really hard time putting a defining line in between those topics. And maybe that's just me personally, but I do think dreams and nightmares have significance. And for information's sake, we'll just put nightmares under dreams. Say dreams is a category and nightmares is, the file in the folder type deal. I do think they have some form of significance. I don't think dreams themselves have significance to your day. I mean, I think nightmares and stuff can impact your mornings. Like very early mornings when you just wake up. I've had some nightmares on like a Monday morning when I'm about to go into work at 6 a.m. And, I was like, damn, I really didn't want to start my day out like this. And if it's something about, something pretty severe, then, I'll remember it for quite some time that morning. But, I mean, at most, you're going to be disappointed by a dream or nightmare by like 3 hours. And that's if it's super severe. Typically, it's like 10, 15 minutes at most. And I think when you wake up, if you have a crazy dream, I don't know if you ever do this, but sometimes me and my friends will have a crazy dream and then we'll like really try and focus on remembering what happened. That way we could tell our friends later. And that does work a lot of times. It'd be like, hey bro, dude, I had the craziest dream last night. But then you had the general details, the big events, the climaxes of what your dream ended up being. And I think that can have some significance, but I do think dreams are more of like a end of the day trash dump for your memory, or use it to refresh your memory, kind of like a refresh in a browser. Your brain's like, okay, here's where I'm at, here's what's happened to me. Let's take care of some things that need taken care of. And I know they're not nearly that stable or that simple. I think whatever you did during your day can impact it. for sure. Like for example, you talked about Beyblades one day, and you were like, oh man, I used to love Beyblades, and then randomly in the night after, the night of, you have some form of a Beyblade just mixed in there, depending on its significance. And I think it also matters about your daydreams too. Sometimes if you get stable and consistent sleep, which I try my best to, I can eventually think about my daydreams as a dream because I thought they were cool. But like, for example, I was sent a video earlier about how guys will, and not necessarily specifically guys, but probably more commonly guys, where you go to a history museum and you grab all the armor and cool swords and cool weaponry for like a zombie apocalypse breaking out, and that's cool, and I love the freedom to be able to, like, at least sometimes be able to take my daydreams and push them forward to a full-fledged dream. And daydreaming's another interesting topic, and how that works. Because I mean, you can even daydream while driving and still completely focus on what you're doing as a driver. And you kind of like an autopilot, not zoning out, but it's interesting. It's very interesting. To answer if dreams have significance, I'm gonna say more than likely no. They have a reason for being there, but to think that they have significance on your day-to-day, not so much. More like your day-to-day has significance on your dream. I really think they are a way to process your day. It's kind of like rendering an edited file, or going back and forth between what went wrong, what didn't go wrong. And again, like I said earlier, I think most of the time it's about the days before today. And that's typically what mine looked like. But I mean, consistent sleep, getting at least 6 hours of sleep, and going to bed at the same time, is very important to be able to analyze it. And I encourage anybody in the comments to leave their experiences down below. But dreams are interesting. I think lucid dreaming and very cool, and we're able to somehow as humans cultivate a way to lucid dream consistently. I wonder how that would affect behavior and stuff within people, if people would start losing a line between what's lucid dreaming and what's real life. That would be very interesting, and probably scary as fuck, but very interesting. And I think dreams are underrated. And the reason I say that is because they're underrated as a topic. I don't think they're studied as much as they should be, or at least I'm not seeing enough improvements. We're not getting the technology we need to be able to diversify what dreams are and everything. Because I mean, hell, dreams take a fourth to a third of our day a lot of times, sometimes half. You fucking lazy fuckers. But it's something that I hope is fully discovered by the time I'm, before I die. And I'm sure we have a pretty good idea from like psychologists and scientists and whatnot, but I can't imagine it's that consistent, and everybody's body probably works a little bit differently. Maybe there's subtypes of dreams that people have. There's aphantasia, I think how you say it, where you can't just picture dreams or whatever. You still have dreams, so you just can't picture them, can't visually see them, which is an interesting concept in itself as well. Because I think when people talk about dreams, it's always visual. But I just thought that was an interesting question, and I would love to hear more about what you guys think. Before I end the video, I do want to mention my inspiration for this channel came from the Weekly Slap, link in the description below. In a world of unoriginal content, I figure that challenges, clickbait, and drama being overused is far worse than people just expressing themselves on a human-to-human level. I'd like to take advantage of the average human capacity to fill it with something that won't ruin somebody's day. If I can do that, then I'm more than happy to do what I can. Thanks so much for watching. Give a look out to my other videos if you wish, and have a wonderful day.